Hey everyone, back by popular demand, aka two of you who emailed me. I decided to do a quick recap, or I guess, let's move that in there, explanation of the application development paper. Now, the application development paper of the three papers is the one that requires a little bit more creativity and some degree of ingenuity. Now, I received an email earlier today, I think it was. A student had expressed uh, that they were coming up short with ideas. They weren't sure that they had the next best idea of what an application or a website or whatever it is would look like. And I get that, right? If we did have the next big app to sort of revolutionize the world, we probably wouldn't be in this class. We'd be at a multimillionaires, possibly billionaires state, right? So again, like most things in life, especially when it comes to the creative arts, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that's something that I want to touch on a little bit as sort of the foundation before I get into the assignment guidelines. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, okay? As unique as those are, they really pull from the same basic ideas. People have interpersonal relationships. They like to exchange content. They like to share pictures and links to each other. Weird. We can do all of those basic things on all three platforms. So, yes, they are different in a lot of ways, right? Instagram is heavily focused on the image. Facebook is more so focused on the sharing of statuses, things like that, and Twitter more on the content end, right? But there are a lot of similarities. So what I would urge you to do before you even think about the structure of the paper, although hopefully, as it is Tuesday, hopefully a lot of you have thought about it, what I would say is, what is a topic that you feel strongly about, right? And for me, just as I was thinking about this and I was filming the videos earlier today, I was thinking, okay, what is a topic that I think needs more, I guess, light sort of being shined on it? And I was talking about cyberbullying, and I thought, you know what? Cyberbullying is still a really big concern, even though it isn't as potent in the media right now. When we first started covering about cyberbullying, it was like, oh, everyone's being cyberbullied. It's terrible. Smartphones are just destroying lives, right? And now it's become tame. Unfortunately, we do hear stories about children killing themselves or even adults as a result of cyberbullying. But I was thinking, why isn't there an app like on your smartphone where you can access a virtual community? Why isn't there an app where if I am a teenager and I'm struggling with a lot of concerns about my weight or my appearance, like a lot of humans do, not just teenagers, there should be an app that's sort of like WebMD, but okay, maybe best practices of reducing anxiety, best practices of how I can deal with maybe my acne, right? And so I was thinking that we could probably develop an app that bridges those two worlds together. An application built for teenagers. The sole purpose is just to help give them quick tips, ideas, suggestions, possibly links to videos that will help these adolescents figure out, okay, I'm dealing with acne, I'm overweight, no one in my school seems to like me, I'm really struggling with science, right? Why isn't there a resource where a student can just click on their phone, click it, and go, okay, things that I should be looking out for my acne or for whatever it is, okay? And again, this is just sort of like a brainstorm. As I'm talking about it, the ideas are sort of forming, so it's not fully developed by any means. Also, this might exist, which is the reality of it. Every time I think I have a unique or genuine idea, I'm like, yeah, I look online, it's like, oh yeah, they already have it. We should make an application like Rosetta Stone for the phone. That way you can learn language on the go. Oh, they already have Duolingo? Crap. Okay. So, again, don't reinvent the wheel, but also don't sort of misappropriate, copy too much. Okay, so that's sort of just the thought process as to find something that you think we need, basically, and build it. Build it using the content and the structure, the research that we've talked about so far. Okay, so that's sort of the big picture. Let's set this up. The application development asks you to do that, develop some sort of application that is drawn from at least 2 units from within the course. Okay, so for my example, something for teenagers, virtual communities might be a good thing to pull from there because I'm sure a lot of teenagers can also maybe on this application share their own experiences. So we have like expert testimonial, what a dermatologist would say in terms of helping fix your acne, but also maybe tips and tricks that some people your age have found to be useful that maybe the expert didn't say, or some things that people will compose. So that's a virtual community, and it also has to deal with health. Okay, so we talked about health, we talked about virtual communities, or if you want to talk about cyberbullying, we can make a virtual community for that. So virtual community, problematic communication. Okay, there are a lot of mix and matches that you can do. Just really focus on a topic and then figure out what research have we covered that helps to pool into that. Okay, the paper is separated into two parts, and all of our papers have been sort of split into part 1, part 2, writing and review and style and things like that. So the first part is literature review. So we have this cool idea for an app. What is the app, first of all? Help us explain. One thing that I have listed in the syllabus that a lot of you can take advantage of is the idea that you can even sketch out. You can go to Paint. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful thing, but you can go to Paint and sort of design what the application would look like. There's a lot of wireframing tools online too that you can use. But you don't have to. I just think that from my experience, jotting it down, saying like, okay, this would be where the image is for expert testimonial, youth testimonial, right? And that might help the thought process and help you connect ideas from the concepts. So the first part is just provide us with what the application is, and also along with that, give us a review of literature. Okay, if you're pulling from health communication and you're pulling from virtual communities, those are really good resources to start with. In addition, you need a minimum of 2 outside scholarly resources. So if each chapter that we've covered has 2 resources, and you have to choose 2 units, that's 4, plus an additional 2 outside sources, that's 6, maybe if you're ambitious, 3 or 4, there's essentially 8 topics that you can cover, 8 research articles that have varying ideas to help pool into this main idea, okay? So you have a lot of literature to cover. What does the literature say about online harassment, and why is it important? So that's a good opportunity to cite the Jones, Mitchell, and Finkelhor article, okay? The article which I just pulled up now, Online Harassment in Context, Trends from the 3 Youth Internet Safety Surveys, okay? That is probably a good place to start with the literature. You've identified that there's a problem with cyberbullying, okay? We have a study that looks at these survey groups that have to deal with online harassment. That seems to help justify and provide us with rationale as to why we need it. We know cyberbullying is at an increase. We have this literature that says there are ways to help reduce cyberbullying and online harassment. I want to integrate those ideas from the research into my paper. What do the authors say? How do all those ideas sort of fit into it? Again, think about this as though you're trying to put together a puzzle. The pieces of the puzzle are really, and this is very meta and very conceptual, the pieces of the puzzle are the literature and research that we've talked about so far. And the other pieces are the research that you're pulling in, minimum of 2 outside sources. Now, the actual picture itself is your big picture. It's the application. How do all these pieces come together to make this big picture? And I know I hope that is not at all too conceptual, but how do you combine all these parts together to make one awesome argument? And that's what this is. You are making an argument as to why the literature makes sense together and why we should care. Is also the part 2 of that. But most importantly, what is driving this application? A lot of people will go, we need an application for weight loss because people need help losing weight. It's like, okay, that you're not wrong, but give us a little bit more elaboration. What might the health scholars say about weight loss, and how does an application potentially help alleviate some of those stresses of being overweight or maybe coming back from an injury, okay? So the first part, literature review. Give us an example, a variety of examples from the text that say, hey, look, I've read this. It all makes sense. So that's part 1, literature review. Part 2, okay, is the full explanation of the application. So what a lot of you will do is the introduction, you'll say, hey, health communication is a big concern because people aren't getting the information they need. We need to develop something that allows them to look into what their doctors think or what their friends think, and so I have developed an application. Now I will explain the literature about this that really drives the underlying premise of it all. Then you provide us with the literature review. They say, okay, sources are saying that health communication is important because of X and Y, and it's interesting because virtual communities also help people talk about this health. So we're linking those two ideas and making sure everything's coming together. And here are some outside sources that also agree that we need to give people the opportunity to participate in virtual communities when talking about health. Perfect. The second part of this, again, is this idea of the application. What does the application look like? How does it integrate your ideas that you talked about in the literature review to make it run? Is it realistic? Is it well designed? A lot of people will say we need a application for people to report privacy breaches online. It's like, cool. So what? Why is that important? Why is that an important application to have? What does it look like? How does it work? Do you just hit a button and all the privacy things are revealed? No. Explain in detail why each function of the application. So right now, we have a smartphone. Let me open it right now. We can open up to, let's say, the Nike running app, which I should really start using more frequently, right? But I think that's everyone. Okay, so we have the Nike running app. Again, it's giving me the updated version of it. 1 second. Okay, so apparently, according to the Nike running app, I have ran a total of 47 miles. Okay, so what we do here is we look at this right here. You can open up an app, any app, and look at the features. Okay, so one of the main purposes behind the Nike training app is to help us run and keep track of our running. We know what our best records are. We know the records that we want to set. We can go for a timed run. We can go for a long distance run. Well, why are all of those features on the application itself? Because all of them help us to accomplish this goal. Let's say we're developing an application for individuals who are trying to deal with a lot of stress in their marriages. Okay, and that happens, as a lot of us have probably observed or experienced. Okay, conflicts happen in relationships. If I'm developing an app, what kind of things should be accessible when I click that app? What are the different tabs that I'm navigating through? When I'm scrolling to the left or scrolling to the right, Tinder style, what should I be seeing? And why does that make sense? If I'm dealing with conflict, why might a resource on how to deal with individual satisfaction and relational satisfaction matter? Why should I have a tool of readings to help me reflect on the relationship? Again, everything has to sort of glue together. You're also probably going to want to connect this idea to something that you found recently or a very similar application. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel. This might be similar to an application that you've used before. Explain to me why you are currently improving on the existing applications that exist. Why is it that this one is better for helping in virtual communities or helping to avoid problematic communication than something else? And explain, again, link it to the literature. If the literature is saying that we need individuals to have access to more immediate healthcare information, and then we need to have that as a way to communicate within our interpersonal lives, our romantic relationships, then maybe the application should have a button where you can actually share the content that's being displayed in front of you in my invisible phone. Share that information with a significant other. So, very simplistic. We need to have health information. Done. I have an application. I can actually track all my medications. Let's say I'm a diabetic. I know when my sugar level is getting low, and maybe I can record all of that throughout the day. But the literature says that not only do you need to record all that information, but you need to share it with your loved ones as a way to build a close relationship. Okay, so I've recorded it. Now the literature says I need to share it. So on the application, I should have a share function. Does that make sense? Find things that piece themselves together. If we need to talk about a particular element, it could be health communication, problematic, then find ways to make that happen. This is a communication-based course. The more communicative functions we have on these applications, the better. I hope I haven't talked too sort of roundabout, bigger picture ideas. Hopefully a lot of this will make sense. And then the last part of it, of course, we have the literature review, we have the application itself, writing and style. Is it concise? Is it error-free? Did you actually read it? Do you have in-text citations? Is it APA? Does it fit within our 4 to 5 page detail Are the margins cool? Are you using contractions? Are you misappropriating? Are you citing when you need to be citing? Are you bringing in your outside sources, which again, 2 minimum, hopefully more? Are you citing our current sources that we talked about in class? So a lot of things to consider. We still have plenty of time if you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me. But again, for the most part, I expect that we'll be fine. Hopefully. Usually students do well on this because they get to access a lot of the creativity that maybe in this class or in other classes you don't get to. I don't know that anyone's ever thought like I should create an application, but this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to link what we've been talking about for the entire semester into something that is maybe useful. I don't know anyone yet who has taken that application and made it real, but we've had really, really interesting ideas. Aim for that. And if you have any questions, again, just let me know.